and welcome to episode 48 of the Giddy podcast. As always, I'm Helen and I'm coming to you from Dundee in Scotland, where I live with my husband Tom and my two boys, Arthur, who is 5, and Jasper, who is now 3. Today is Sunday the 17th of November and this is my knitting podcast. For those of you that don't know, I am the dyer behind Giddy Yarns. And this podcast mostly consists of kind of my knitting projects, occasionally a bit of crochet. In fact, there is a bit of crochet today, and whatever other crafts I'm kind of doing at the time. Right, so is that everything? Oh, hello. I guess I could say hello and welcome. That would be good, wouldn't it? Hello and welcome back to everyone that has watched before and to any new viewers. I've had a few new subscribers popping up on the channel recently. So if this is your first time watching a proper podcast episode, then hello, nice to meet you. I hope you enjoy what you see. What was I going to say? Yeah, that's about it really. We are creeping up ever closer to the milestone of 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So that is quite exciting. I think last time I looked, we were on about 975, something like that. So we are creeping closer. So if you enjoy the podcast, then please give us a share on social media or things like that, so that more people can find out about it, because it would be lovely to hit that 1,000 mark before Christmas. A little celebration. I might even do a giveaway when we get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So what have I got for you this week? Let's go with that. As usual, my show notes are down by my side, so apologies if I'm looking down a little bit. I could prop them up here. If this jogs the camera, then I'm sorry. I will try not to. There we go. Although I'm going to need that little bit of paper in a minute. That's better. Okay, so now you'll just get me looking down, but rather than down there. Anyway, what have I got for you this week? So I have a couple of announcements. I've got some finished objects to share. I've got some works in progress to share. I don't think I've got any new cast-ons to share, which is unusual. And I'm going to share a bit of blanket progress this week, because I have made some progress on my blankets, finally. And then, as always, I've got a little bit of yarny goodness to share, which is living up in that basket at the moment. And then I will finish off with a bit of shop news as well. So let's get straight into the announcements then, shall we? So we were running from the 1st of September until the 31st of October. I was running the Halloween Cal for the Halloween knit along. I've just had a message come through on my phone from somebody that I might need to talk about. So just bear with me 2 seconds. Right, sorry about that. That was a really good message to get, because now I can actually talk about that person and what the message means in a minute. So anyway, what have I got? Have I done that? I was getting into announcements, wasn't I? Yes, so Halloween Cal, we were running a Halloween knit along. So my announcements are the prize winners. So we have got 5 prize winners. And I drew the prizes using I didn't use randomnumbergenerator.org. I literally just went onto Google and Googled random number, and Google has a random number option. But there were 32 entries, 32 posts in the thread, including my first one. So I did random number generator from 2 to 32. And I have picked out 5 numbers using that, and I will announce the winners now. And really, I should have got the prizes down, shouldn't I? Right, let me get the prizes. Okay, I've got the prizes. Apologies if the beginning of this video is a little bit cut here, cut there, cut everywhere. I wasn't as organised as I thought I was when I sat down to record. Right, so prizes, yes. I have got 5 prizes to announce. So the first prize, which is, I'm going to have to remember which way around I said this. I guess I can always watch the podcast again. So the first prize, which is a lovely Halloween themed sock set from me at Giddy Yarns. Hence it hasn't been labelled yet, because I'm, as always, not very organised. So this is my Tombstone colourway, as a sock set. And that goes to post number 11, who was Killy Loves Ami. who is, I believe, Kilishandra. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, apologies, in California, and she knit a fantastic pumpkin. I'll try and prop the winning projects up on the screen. I'll try and pop some pictures up one side or the other so you can see what the winners knit. And then the second prize is another sock set, and that is this one here, and this is my Undead colourway as a sock set. And that one is going to post number 23, who is Imicol, which is Linda in Pennsylvania. I seem to think you've won a prize on one of my podcasts before, Linda. I'm not sure. Anyway, she knit a lovely pair of socks. Right, and the third prize is one that you haven't actually seen yet, because I haven't podcasted since I received it. And that is this lovely ball of self-striping yarn. And this is from the lovely Marcus at Fiberpunk, who is a, I believe you're Glasgow based, but he's a Scottish dyer, and he does amazing self-striping. And this is in the Santa's Boudoir colourway, and it's on a 75/25 merino nylon base. It's absolutely gorgeous, isn't it? So thank you very much for the donation, Marcus. And this is going to post number 7, who is 3 Klein Chappes. I don't know how to pronounce it. I know it means, I believe it means 3 little sheep. But that is Jennifer in the Netherlands. So congratulations to you. This will be coming to you. And you also knit a lovely pair of socks. And in fact, you used the Sanderson Sisters pattern, which I'd not heard of before, but I absolutely love it. And then the fourth prize is this set of lovely pastel mini skeins from Debbie at Down Sheepy Lane. I'll turn them around so that you can, oh, my studio lights aren't showing them off as best as possible, but there we go. And these are lovely DK minis in the 100% Blue Face Leicester, so they would be fantastic for a bit of colour work. And that is going to post number 22, who was Adriana316, who is Adriana in Norway, and she knit a fantastic pair of stripy socks. And the final prize is a bit of a mystery prize. And this was the person that's just messaged me. But the lovely Gem of the Little Grey Girl is donating, I assume, a project bag as a prize. But she is going to ship that out to the winner for me. And the winner is post number 10, who is Happy Hound 11. And I don't know your name because you don't have it on your Ravelry page, but I know that you're based in the UK and you knit some gorgeous socks. So congratulations to you. And if everybody that has won a prize can get in contact with me, either via Instagram or via Ravelry, would be brilliant. I will get your prizes out to you. So yeah, if you can just let me know names, proper, like full names. I know most of your first names at least, but full names and addresses, and I will try and get your prizes out in the post to you as soon as possible. And the magical mystery prize from the Little Grey Girl will hopefully be coming to you from her. I'll just pass your address on to Gem and she'll ship it out to you to save her shipping it to me and then me shipping it to somebody else, especially seeing as you're based in the UK, because it will cost the same anyway. So yeah, thank you to everyone that took part. I absolutely love doing the Halloween knit along. I don't know how it is about Halloween, but I just really enjoy it, and it's kind of good fun. And I'm not even that big into horror movies and scary things, but I just enjoy the whole fantasy of it all, I think. Okay, so that's all the prize winners. So that's the most of the announcements. The other thing I was going to say is this is probably the last podcast, the last sort of proper podcast episode that will come out until the new year, because I will be doing Vlogmas throughout December. And realistically, Vlogmas takes up quite a lot of time. I will have to be editing videos every single day. And yeah, so the chances of me sitting down at some point to record a full podcast are minimal. I will try and get a podcast recorded in the middle of December. But I'm sure you can understand that with the lead up to Christmas, in fact, I haven't done any Christmas shopping yet, with the lead up to Christmas and everything else that's kind of involved in December, with the addition of Vlogmas and working as normal, a podcast episode might not happen. But Vlogmas is very fun. I try and keep my Vlogmas videos kind of 10 minutes, around the 10-minute mark. So they're quite nice little kind of snippets that you can catch when you're doing the washing up or something like that. That's when I tend to watch vlogs. If I'm doing the washing up, I'll stick my phone up on the windowsill with a vlog on while I'm washing up. It keeps me company. But yes, so from the 1st of December, I will be doing Vlogmas. This is my 3rd year doing Vlogmas, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy kind of sharing different snippets of life. I'll obviously be sharing knitting progress and things on there. I'll obviously be sharing any work that I'm doing as well. But you'll also see quite a lot of the boys, a lot of kind of family stuff, and things like that. So it's really good fun. Anyway, should we get into the knitting? So I have got 3, maybe 2.5. I guess it should be really 2.5. I need to move these prizes. I'll just pop them there for the moment. What was I saying? I've got 3-ish finished objects to share with you this week. So I will start with a pair of shorty socks that have been finished. And that is these ones here. I have finished my Tombstone socks. You can see the wonderful reflection of my giant studio lights in the sock blockers. Sorry about that. So professional. But yeah, I have finished my lovely Tombstone socks. And so these were knit out of a very similar, well, the same sock set as this one, basically. And I just added in stripes at the top, stripes at the bottom, and used the bright green for the heels and toes. And these have, I don't know how well that's coming up, but you can see that this has kind of green and black speckles in the yarn. So yeah, that's one little finished object. And then I have finished another sock. It is a single sock, but it is a sample sock. So I am probably not likely to knit the second one. I've got so much on my needles at the moment that it's been kind of stressing me out a little bit. So I thought to myself, do you know what? I won't wear these if I knit both pairs, because they're going to mostly just be samples. So it's tough. I'm just going to knit the one sock, keep it as a sample, and then when I get some time and I want a single sock at some point to knit, then I will cast on another one. But I finished my Christmas socks. So this is in my Christmas colourway. Oh, I didn't say. Did I say the yarns? Yes, I did. So the yarn in this one is mine. So this is in my Christmas colourway. So this is another Giddy Yarns colourway. And this is in the Christmas Festival colourway. And I knit it on the, let's see if I can get a nice close up there for you. I knit it on the 100% BFL sock base. So it's a high twist. I don't know how clearly that's going to come across. It helps if my hand wasn't shaking, wouldn't it? So it's a high twist BFL, and it's a really nice base. It's obviously a little bit crisper than the merino nylon bases, but it's also going to be quite hard wearing even without the nylon in there. And I really enjoyed how this colourway knit up. I think there might be very minimal. I'm wondering actually if I've got any of this left in the shop. I think there might be one skein left. This is where I knock over a whole load of stock boxes. Yes, I think there is one skein left. I can see one in the box just there, and that's on this base actually, the 100% BFL base. If you are interested in any of my colourways that you see on the podcast and there aren't any in the shop, then give me a shout, because I'm always happy to dye up a little bit extra here and there. So yeah, one little finished sample. And then the final finished object that I have is again another sample, and I've only woven in half the ends, so apologies for that. I really need to do some end weaving on this. But I finished my sock set shawlette by the lovely Rachel McGlone. And this is a gorgeous pattern. It's a little shawl. I haven't blocked this yet either, actually, which is why you've still got a bit of a lump up here and it's a little bit of a funny shape. Once I block it out, hopefully I will be able to block that length as kind of straight, if that makes sense. But it is absolutely beautiful. It's a lovely little shawl. I've still got my little stitch marker on there. Love that little pumpkin stitch marker from Jiggles and Bean. Super cute. I'm just going to take it off now though, so I'm not waving it around in my face. So it is just it is a little shawlette. It's kind of like a little scarf, really. Just kind of perfect for spring or those slightly warmer days when you just need something to go around your neck. It's not massive, but it's designed specifically to work with a sock set where you've got 100 grams of the main colour and then 20 grams of the contrast colour. And I absolutely love it. It's really, really effective. I will give this a block, and I will show it again on the podcast because it will grow a little bit with blocking, because the yarn I've used for this is what am I rambling about now? Yeah, so Sock Set Shawlette, beautiful, by Rachel McGlone. The yarn is another one of my Christmas colourways, and this is in the City Lights. See if I can show it to you properly. Here we go. This is in the City Lights colourway, which is this gorgeous kind of tonal grey with pops of colour in there, inspired by all the Christmas lights going on in the towns and cities around the country. And then I've just paired it with a teal mini, which is actually coming across on my screen a little bit bluer than it is in real life, I think. But it is, yeah, it works really, really well with this. And in terms of the amount of yarn it used, whoops, I had 100 grams of the main colour and 20 grams of the contrast. And that is what I have got left. So it uses a lot. I haven't weighed this to know, but I reckon I've probably got about 30 grams of that left, maybe. It definitely feels more than 20 grams, and very little of that one left. So it's a really good project for using when you've got kind of a really nice 120 gram sock set that you don't really want to make socks out of. This will work absolutely beautifully. And the yarn base, sip of tea before I lose my voice completely. The yarn base that I've used is one of my new bases, and it's been a lot less popular than I was expecting because I love it. And I don't know how well it's going to come across on the screen. We will see. But this is a merino singles. So it's 100% merino, single ply. It's got a high twist to it. So it doesn't unply or pull apart as you're knitting with it. But it is a single ply yarn. And you know what? I love it. It's just so soft. And when this blocks, it will block out really nicely and it will be really, really drapey. I really like a single ply yarn. But yeah, it's not selling that well in the shop, which is a shame because I really want to stock it. So yeah, if you've not tried single ply, give it a go because it is lovely, especially for kind of shawls and accessories. Right, okay, so that is all my finished objects. So what else have I got? Looking for my show notes down there, but they're not there anymore, are they? Move some bits and pieces around. Works in progress. Let's move on to works in progress. So I have got 4 works in progress that I will share with you today. So what have I been working on? I'm just looking at what order to do these in. Well, I have put a little bit of work into my Forever and Always socks. And I can't remember if I showed you these on the last episode. I think I probably did because I'd done, again, a little bit. But I still haven't done a lot more. So the first sock is finished. Let me stick it on a sock blocker quickly so that you can see it. There we go. So the first sock is finished, and it is this lovely, cable pattern running down the sock. So these are the Forever and Always socks, which is a pattern by Danielle George of Little Bobbins. And it's got this gorgeous garter and stocking stitch cable, which I just love how that looks. And the yarn that I'm using for this is a Lay Family Yarn yarn in the Crocus colourway, which was her Flower Power Fun colourway last year. And it sounds like the Flower Power Fund is going to be running again next year. So if you followed along with that last year in 2018, it looks like she's going to do another one for 2020. So I'm quite excited about that because I quite enjoyed seeing all the different yarns that the dye has produced. Yeah, so I finished the first one. And I'm still working on the leg of the second one. And you'll see actually that I don't know why I'm showing these again, because I've made probably less than an inch progress. I think last time I showed you them, I was just here. So I've knit all of about 7 or 8 rows. So apologies for that. But I am trying to get these off the needles. I am trying to work on these a little bit more so that I can get them finished. But the yarn is gorgeous. Really, really lovely. And I've got them in a lovely little needle cozy by Craft House Magic. And I know I talked on the last episode about how I love the needle cozies and how they can be used for all kinds of needles. Right, so I will pop those away. Let's actually take this sock off the blocker before I lose it. So the next thing I will share is another pair of socks, which again haven't seen masses of progress, but I am getting there slowly. And that is my Twilight socks, which are these ones here. These are another sample. So this was one of my Halloween colourways, which is named Twilight. It's a really lovely kind of micro striping colourway. And I definitely have some of this left in the shop. I've probably got 2 or 3 skeins. I can't see in the box how many are there. But I am at the point of nearly ready to put the heel in the second sock. So it has been cast on and I have done a little bit of work. And again, I'm just desperate to get these off. I'm having real issues with second sock syndrome, which never used to be a problem for me. But at the moment, I seem to be struggling with it. So yeah, I'm thinking that the next time I cast on a pair of socks, I'm going to cast them on concurrently. So I'm going to get kind of 2 pairs of needles and cast on the cuff. So knit the cuff of one and then knit the cuff of the other and then knit the leg of one and knit the leg of the other and try and do it that way. I have tried 2 at a time socks before and I really didn't enjoy it. The process was okay, it just felt really slow. And I know that obviously it probably takes the same amount of time, but I felt that I wasn't seeing progress on my knitting, and that just really, I don't know, it made me fall out of love with the project, I guess. So the other little project that I've put a bit of work onto, which I haven't shown for a few weeks, is my lovely Find Your Own Direction scarf. And this is a pattern by Erin Beale, and it's just really, really fun. And as you can see, I've added maybe 4 more colours since I last showed it. I was just where that little hot air balloon is. And actually this stitch marker and the one on my Forever and Always socks are gorgeous progress keepers from Front Pocket Studios. And I love these ones, really lightweight resin. She does some gorgeous ones. So yeah, if this is growing, I have been slowly making a little bit of progress on it. It's kind of my scrappy, I just want to do a little bit and have a little bit of distracting knitting in an evening. You know, it's a really simple lace pattern. And yeah, I need to just sit down and work on this a little bit more often. But I've been working on all my samples, so I've not had as much time to work on the other things, which is the issue. But I have got a whole bag full of little minis and little scraps to add into this when I get the chance. And then my final work in progress is living in this lovely big little grey girl bag. And this is my Starflake shawl. So if Starflake is the Mystery Knit Along by Stephen West, the Mystery Knit Along has ended and he has released, his sample knitters and stuff have released their versions. So everything has kind of been revealed now. But if you are still avoiding it, then look away now. But I will show you it. I am still on clue 3, I believe. In fact, I think I am on section 6. Section 6 of clue 3. So I have made some progress on this. I made quite a good bit of progress getting through some of the complicated bits on a recent train journey. I had a lovely weekend away with my mum and my aunt and my sister-in-law. We had a girly weekend, and I had a 6.5 hour train journey to meet up with them all, and I worked on this. So I got most of the complicated bits done on that train journey, and it's going to be really awkward to show. So here it is. Last time I showed it to you, I think, well, I seem to remember being further in the brioche than I was. Maybe I wasn't. Last time I showed it to you, I was in the brioche section, maybe where that little stitch marker is, I'm not sure. And that lovely progress keeper is one from Craft House Magic. So here it is. I have finished the brioche section. I have added the little, I don't know what you call them, little wedges at the top of each point. Yeah, and I'm now about to start some rows with the eyelets. If you can just see some eyelets on here. So I'm about to start carrying on with some of the eyelets, and oh, I've also done these bits here. So it is growing. And the yarn I'm using is Giddy yarn, so it's my own yarn in 2 colours. So this colour here is Plum Chutney, and this colour here is Sandcastles. And I just think they work really, really beautifully together. Not my usual colour palette, I have to say. Not my usual colour palette at all, but I really, really love how they're working together. I love how they've worked in the brioche, and yeah, I'm really pleased with the colour choices that I made. So yeah, that is seeing slow progress still, but it is making some progress. It will probably take a little bit of a back seat again soon, because I am still trying to work on my advent sample. So the sample of the shawl, well, the shawl wrap pattern, whatever you want to call it, that's included with my advent calendars. So the pattern is by Brixton Pearl, Therese, and I am currently kind of trying to work on my sample, which I obviously can't share with you at the moment. I might share some of it through Vlogmas though, because obviously if I share kind of, I don't know, the first few days at the end of the first week of Advent, then everybody will have opened them and hopefully included them by then. Okay, so as I said, I didn't have any new cast-ons to share. I need to move, excuse the crinkling, I need to move a few bits and pieces out the way. But I was going to share some blanket progress. So what I will do is I will have a little tidy up, move a few bits around, and I will be right back with some blanket progress. Okay, so blanket progress. I've got 3 blankets to share with you this week, and you won't have seen them in quite a while because I've not made a lot of progress in them for quite a while. But the first one really needs, really needs a better bag, because it's kind of living in a wool warehouse bag that's half falling apart. So I think I'm just going to take that out of here, and I'm going to have to put it in something different. It's one of those organza ones, but the ribbons have all come apart and the stitching has all started to come apart and stuff in it. But hey, it was a free thing that came with some yarn. I can't really complain. So this is Arthur's blanket. So last year, 2018, I think, the lovely Debbie of Down Sheepy Lane, I'm trying to find the right side of the blanket, ran a Colour of the Month club, and her Colour of the Month was all inspired by Disney. And each month she would run, she would offer kind of 100-gram skeins and mini bundles in the Colour of the Month. And I purchased all the mini bundles throughout the year with the aim of making a blanket for Arthur, which is exactly what I'm doing. And I am, let's think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I am just over halfway through the blanket. So here is where we are so far. So I've been adding them in order. So these were the January ones, February, March, April. So I've just added in July at the bottom here. I can't tell if you can see that at all. Poke around the side. Yes, you can. So that bottom row there is July's ones that have been added in now. And I absolutely love this. I am crocheting, I think they're called Starburst squares. So I don't know if you can see there. It looks like it's coming across quite well. I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of a granny square with a starburst pattern in it, basically. And so they're all crocheted in that same kind of pattern. It's easier to see, obviously, on those kind of semi-solids ones. Yeah. And then I am joining them together. I'm just crocheting them together as I kind of in rows. So I'll do all the squares for a row and then I'll border each one and then I'll crochet them together. But the way I'm doing it, you hold them right sides together and then you crochet them together with a single crochet. I don't know whether that's UK or American terminology. Not that crochet literate. But you only pick up one of the loops. I think you pick up the outside loop of the stitch when you crochet them together, and that gives you this kind of train track kind of effect as you join them together, which is very pretty, but I kind of wish I'd just started crocheting them together normally because it takes me ages. But yeah, so I'm very, very pleased with how this is coming along. And Arthur is very excited by it. He is really enjoying seeing it grow and seeing it come together. I'm trying to see if I can see through to see what you're seeing. But yeah, I've definitely added on the bottom row, the July row, since I last showed it on the podcast. I think I may also have added on the row above, but I'm not 100% sure. And I have actually crocheted up quite a lot of the squares for the August row. I just need to dig those out and start and finish those off, really. So that is Arthur's lovely blanket. I'm not really following a pattern for this blanket, if that makes sense. I just followed a YouTube tutorial. That's really hard to say. For how to do the starburst squares, and then I'm just bordering them and joining them kind of how I wanted to. So there's no kind of specific pattern involved as such. I'm just kind of making it up. And then the other crochet blanket I've done quite a lot of work on is my Battenberg blanket. So this is a pattern. This is a pattern by Sandra Paul of the Cherry Heart podcast. And this is how far I have got so far. So I am using a grey as my neutral squares. The grey is my rain cloud colourway, which is just a regular sort of light tonal grey, but I really like how it's working. I've made my squares slightly bigger than the pattern calls for. I believe that the pattern does 3 rounds, and I've done 4 rounds. I just wanted slightly bigger squares, basically. But since I last recorded, I have added on a whole row along the bottom there. That row that the stitch markers is on. So this is coming along. I started this at the beginning of December last year, and all the yarns in my Advent swap package got added into this. I crocheted up little squares. But then I made the mistake, and what I'm finding as a struggle with this is that I've got a whole box here of minis and things like that, and squares, and I crocheted up a load of coloured squares. I've got loads in here. I'm trying to dig them out. They're all tangled up with all the minis. Let's have a look. Let's dig them all out, shall we? So you can see what I'm talking about. So I crocheted up, I think there's even still some more in there. Is that it? I think that's all of them. So I crocheted up a load of, oh, I've dropped one, a load of squares quite early on with all the coloured ones. And then, of course, you've got to do the grey ones as well, haven't you, in order to be able to assemble it. So I'm at that stage at the moment where I've got loads of coloured squares already crocheted up. So I don't get the sort of fun and excitement of crocheting up the coloured squares, but I don't have any grey squares crocheted up. So I have to crochet up the boring grey squares. So what I'm kind of doing at the moment is that I'm not allowed to crochet up any more coloured squares until I've used up all the coloured squares that are in there. But I will try and crochet up the grey squares. So I will crochet up the grey squares. I think each row, so a row that is either 7 or 8 grey squares. So I will sit down one evening and crochet up as many of those as I can until I've got 7 or 8, and then I can just draw in a whole row. But I'm hoping that I'll get to the stage that once I've used up all of these squares that are living in the box, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and be sensible and alternate. So for every coloured square I crochet, I have to crochet up a grey square, and do it like that, because that will be less boring and I will hopefully make a bit more progress on it. But I'm really enjoying it. I really love how it's coming together. I'm being quite random with the colours, which I'm quite enjoying. I think with the grey, breaking it all up, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, it's just really fun and really, really pretty. And I need to get on with it. So yeah, that's both the crochet blankets that I've been working on. And then I've also made a little bit of progress on my Cozy Memories blanket. So I thought I would share that now. I'm halfway through a square, of course, because I didn't quite get time to finish it this morning before I had to take Arthur to his swimming lesson. So apologies for that. But I was going to say, I have switched my Cozy Memories blanket onto straight needles, because I was finding that with the little squares and the decreasing, having it on a circular needle was really annoying. So I just picked up a pair of 2.5 inch Knit Pro Zings. 2.5 inch? No, 2.5 millimeter Knit Pro Zings. I just ordered them from Wool Warehouse. I kind of wish I got the measurements wrong, and part of me wishes I'd got shorter needles. They're a little bit long for it, but you know, they do the job and they are less annoying now. But I haven't knit on straight needles in ages. But let's show you what progress I have made. So all the ones with stitch markers on have been added since I last showed you this. So we've got 4 squares at the top there, as well as some squares added at the bottom here as well. Now I've messed up, which is slightly annoying. So I made a bit of a mistake, and I can't remember where I made the mistake. Oh, I think I made the mistake down here. Yes. So my initial plan, if I get rid of those 3 stitch markers, you'll be able to see. So my original plan with this was, if you can see the decrease lines, my original plan with this was to start with this bit here as my center point and just do it as kind of a big cross going out from the center, and then having the chevrons coming out from the center. When I added these 3 squares, I messed it up. And as you can see, I've kind of turned that into a bit of a zigzag, which wasn't my plan at all, which is a little bit frustrating and a little bit annoying. And I could have ripped them out and started again, but then I kind of thought, well, I'll just do it slightly differently and I'll change my plan. So now what I'm kind of doing, I think, is that this bit here, let me just work my brain out here. Yeah, so this bit here is going to be my center point. So I don't know if you can see just here, I've now got like a diamond shape. So that diamond is now going to be my center point. And then from that diamond, it's going to kind of come down to that point, and then it's going to zigzag. I think. I don't really know. I'm going to try and keep it as a bit of a pattern. But the issue, of course, I've found with that is that when I'm doing these, I'm not joining these as I do it. I mean, I'm sure there is a way that I could pick up stitches, and I don't know anyway. But what I have done, and I didn't do it particularly neatly on this one because I'd forgotten that I needed to do it on the front side rather than the back side to start with. But what I have done is I've just mattress stitched those 2 squares together, which didn't take long and was really, really easy. So the bottom bit is the bit that's been done right. So you can't really see where it's joined. It's nice and neat and it's absolutely fine. So I think I'm just going to have to do that. So yeah, my blanket will have a pattern of some kind, but I have not quite worked out what that's going to be. It's going to be a little bit made up as I go along, and I need to kind of make a decision about where my central point is going to be. But I think this diamond is now going to be my central point, and then I will try and repeat the pattern or do something from there. What I kind of need to do is dig out some squared paper and draw it out so that I can work out kind of from what I've got at the moment what pattern I want to create and where I want to create the centerpiece. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, at some point it might just end up being a complete random mishmash of directions, but hopefully I will be able to keep it a little bit more organised than that. But I have made progress and I am really enjoying working on it. And that is the important thing, isn't it? Okay, so that is all of my blanket progress and all of the kind of knitting content, I guess, for the podcast. I do have a bit of yarny goodness to share though. So let me just grab that down. Whoops. So let's have a little look. It feels like quite a lot, but as you'll see as we go along, quite a few of this was, some of this was gifts. So I will start with the big obvious bag that is living in here. So I've bought a load of Drops Charisma. I think I bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 balls of each. So just in these two colours, so I'll share the colours separately. So it's these two colours here. There we go. So it's a Drops Charisma, which is a super treated wool. It's just 100% wool. So it's not merino soft or anything like that. I mean, it's absolutely fine for what I want it for. And I picked two colours, colour 21 and colour 40. I know this was the grey mix and this was like a vintage pink, was it called? I can't remember what it was called, but yeah, 21 for the grey and 40 for the pink. And my plan is to take part in Louise Tilbrook's new blanket knit along. So she is creating a blanket knit along called the Boundaries knit along, and the idea is that every fortnight, I believe, you get a new blanket square pattern, along with kind of some information about setting boundaries and things like that. Which just sounded really, really interesting and really good. And then at the end of the cowl, which I think goes on until kind of April time, you will have I think it was like a 12 squares that you create with it? I can't remember exactly. But basically you'll have a blanket. And I just thought, you know what, that sounds really nice actually. I wouldn't mind knitting kind of a blanket with squares, and I want kind of like a slightly more rustic blanket to shove on the sofa and things like that. So that's what I'm going to do, and this is the yarn I'm going to use. I think her sample for it, or the squares that she has shared, that's a bit of a tongue twister, are all in one colour. But I'm just going to alternate my colours. So one block will be in the grey and one block will be in the pink. And I will have a pink and grey blanket at the end, which will go very nicely downstairs on our grey sofa. And yeah, that's kind of my plan. So hopefully that will go well. And I just wanted to pick up some relatively cheap yarn for it because, firstly, it was needed DK yarn, and I don't have any sort of other fancy DK yarn in the house. And I wanted to go with wool rather than a nylon blend because it's just my preference. Not that there's anything wrong with acrylic, I mean. Not that there's anything wrong with kind of acrylic for blankets and stuff like that, but I just fancied going for a proper wool. It is superwash treated, so hopefully I should be able to wash it okay in the washing machine. I assume that information is on the inside. Yeah, it says 40 degrees. So it is, yeah, for washing purposes, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so that'll be fine. So I would be able to wash this. I mean, what I tend to do with like my hand knit socks and stuff like that is I put them on a hand wash cycle or a wool wash cycle on my washing machine. So I'd be able to do the same with this blanket. But at the same time, it's going to be a bit more rustic and it's not ridiculously expensive. So when the kids decide that they're going to play with it on the floor and mess around with it, I won't be too worried. And that's kind of what I want, basically. Anyway, enough rambling about that yarn. There is more to share. So I'll share the other purchase I made. Well, kind of I made but didn't make. So my lovely friend Jem of The Little Grey Girl was helping out Debbie of Down Sheepy Lane at Yarndale. And Black Elephant were vending at Yarndale, so I sent her on a mission to pick me up some yarn for a pattern that I wanted to knit. So the pattern I've completely forgotten the name of. I will pop the pattern and the pattern information up on the screen so that you can see it. But I sent her with the instructions that I wanted kind of one skein of kind of a grey colour and then something really colourful to go with it because it's a brioche pattern. And this is what she came back with. Here we go. So these two gorgeous skeins of Black Elephant, absolutely stunning. So the grey is called Nimbus. These are both on the single ply base. As I was just saying, I do love singles. So there's that one. And then this one is called Smarties. And it is absolutely, cover my face, I might have better luck with the focus. There we go. Absolutely beautiful. And they will work really nicely together in a brioche project. The cowl is a brioche cowl that I want to knit. So those I did purchase remotely. But then Jem was also doing a massive de-stash, and she sent a message to a few of us and kind of said, look, I've got all of these yarns that I want to get rid of. Does anyone want any of these? And I will just send them to you. And she sent me 3 gorgeous yarns. So there is this lovely skein from Skein Queen, which is in the Financial Times colourway. And it's just a gorgeous kind of pale, really good. It's got some kind of really pale pinky bits in there, but with these lovely kind of black speckles. And then this is again on 100% merino fingering weight single ply base. But I thought that would be a really nice neutral for various projects. And then 2 Christmas colourways, which I didn't realise were Christmas colourways when I was looking at them, but that is all good. So the first one is this one here by Nora George Yarns. And this is the Snowman. And this is on her BFL sock. So it's a BFL nylon. So that will make some fun Christmas socks at some point. And the other one is this one here by Amy of Stranded Dye Works. And this is also a BFL nylon. And this is in the Vintage Christmas colourway. So that is really lovely as well. So that was really nice that I got some extra little bits and pieces. So I'm thinking that one of those might actually be my Christmas Eve cast on this year. I need to pick out a Christmas colourway and a project actually for my Christmas Eve cast on this year. So I need to have a think. Then there are a couple of other bits. So the other thing which I will share very quickly, and I haven't wrapped it up, I was very lucky enough to purchase one of Spectrum Fibre's advent calendars this year. I did a bit of a de-stash over on my Giddy de-stash page on Instagram, and I used the money to purchase an advent calendar, and it has arrived. I haven't unwrapped it from the bubble wrap because I want to keep it kind of safe until the beginning of December. But how exciting. I love that she's got them in boxes as well. That's going to be quite interesting, actually opening up like an advent calendar, which is going to be really, really fun. And I am planning to use this advent calendar to knit the Dust of Snow wrap by Curious Handmade without the mohair. I don't know if you remember at the beginning of this year, I did start one, but I really struggled with the mohair. I wasn't enjoying it with the mohair, and I also had some issues with I didn't have enough of the mohair in the colour that I was using, and it all got very complicated, so I frogged it. But I loved the pattern, and I still really, really want the pattern. And Spectrum Fibre Bryony's advent calendar is designed as a gradient. And she says in it that the yarn has been designed to work as a big gradient, but feel free to be creative. But I kind of want it as a big gradient for that shawl, and I just think that this will work hopefully really, really well with the wrap. And knowing Bryony's colour palette and things like that, I think it's going to be beautiful. So I'm very excited about the 1st of December so that I can start opening this. I'm going to tuck it back where it lives at the moment. And then the last thing is a little bit silly. I pre-ordered this pin sort of in the lead up to Halloween, and yeah, here it is. This is from Universe, and they create some amazing kind of sheep themed pins. And this one is obviously inspired by Stephen King's It, with You'll Float Too. I am a big fan, actually, of the book. I absolutely loved the book of It. I haven't watched, I think it's the second film being released yet. I have watched the first film, and I enjoyed it, but it really threw me the way that they split the films up. So I think the first film is based on the children and the second film is going to be based on the adults. And that kind of threw me, having read the book and having it kind of mixed as you go. But yeah, I absolutely loved the book. So I couldn't resist that pin. And she also included in the order this fun little Pegasus pin, which is really, really fun. I really want to get, at some point, I might have to have a little look on Etsy, or maybe sort of talk to somebody about it, about Christmas, for Christmas or something like that. I wonder if there's anyone that I can persuade to make me one as a swap. Anyway, I really want to get a pin pennant, you know, where people have got like a bit of doweling and then they've got like a fabric sort of bit that you can kind of hang up and put all your pins on. I really want to create a pin pennant to hang here for the podcast, and then I can put all my pins on it, and that would be really fun, because I don't really put them on project bags that often, because my project bags change so often and get moved around so much that I worry I would lose pins. And I know you can get fancy locking backs, but that's just a faff, isn't it? And I kind of would rather have them displayed somewhere, if that makes sense. So yeah, I need to have a little look at working out either making one, although I'll never get around to actually doing that, or seeing if I can find somebody who might be able to make me a pin pennant that I can pop up there and pop all my pins on. There were a lot of P's in that sentence. Yeah, so that is all my yarny goodness. Right, let me chuck some of this away again. Well, you know, not chuck it away. I'll just pop it up there for the moment. There we go. And grab the shop news box. I've been organised this week and I have put all my shop news stuff in a box. So let's see what I have to share with you. First of all, I haven't podcast, I don't think, since the beginning of November. So you won't have seen November's minis. So this is November's mini bundles, November bonfires, inspired by kind of fire and bonfires and stuff like that. Guy Fawkes Night, or Bonfire Night, has a special place in my heart because it is Jasper's birthday. Jasper's birthday is the 5th of November, so he turned 3 on the 5th of November this year, and he will forever have fireworks on his birthday. So yeah, these are the November bonfire mini bundles, and they're currently available in the shop. And then I still have got, as I was showing with the Christmas lights colourway, there's still quite a lot of this colourway, my City Lights colourway on the single ply base, which is what I knit the sock set shawl out of, which I was sharing a little bit earlier on. Now, I had a shop update last night. Typically I didn't podcast before it, but and I haven't actually got the right colourways. There's one colourway I haven't got, but I did update with, it was a bit of a purple themed update, and these 4 colours were updated in the shop. Some of these are new colourways that haven't been in the shop before, or haven't been online. They've been at shows, but they haven't been online, and some of them are just restocks of colourways that I enjoy. So the first one here is Puddle Jumper. This one is a restock, but it hasn't been online a lot. But it's a lovely grey base with speckles of kind of blues and purples. It's really pretty. Then there is some Heather. This was a very popular colourway from the Summer Shorties collection, the Wildflower collection that was designed for the Summer Shorties sock sets by Lily of Nordic Stitches. So there are a few 100-gram skeins of this that have been popped in the shop. Then there is some Hopscotch, which is one of my favourite colourways from the Spring Garden collection that I released last year. It's just a lovely kind of tonal purple with some pops of pink and blues and purples in there. And then this is one that hasn't made it online before, but this is Raindrops on Roses. So it's just kind of a tonal, it's kind of a variegated colourway, but it isn't. It's kind of a tonal pinks and purples and blues. I never know quite what to call it because it's kind of variegated, but at the same time it's not going to be all pooly, if that makes sense. But it's also not quite speckled in the same way. And then there is one other, which, oh, actually the box is just up here. I wonder if I can dig it out. I accidentally put 2 Raindrops on Roses in the box. And that is this one here, which is Spring Lilacs. And again, this is one that has been to shows but hasn't made it onto the website yet. It's just a gorgeous tonal purple with specks of, let's see if I can find some bits of there of like blues and pinks. And as somebody pointed out, these could actually potentially all go together in a variety of different ways to make some kind of different fades, which could be quite fun. So yeah, they are all now available online. And then the other things I was going to say is stitch markers. I have just released a range of stitch markers, which I will share with you now. I've just dropped one of the sets on the floor. I've not been organised enough to put them all onto cards yet, but I can kind of show you the colours. So here we go. These are my brand new stitch markers. They are made using glass beads and jewellery wire, which is really nice and flexible. I'll see if I can dig out a single random one so that you can kind of get an idea. Here you go. So they are made using jewellery wire. So the wire itself is really nice and flexible, so it fits on your needles nicely. And then the beads are glass beads, and they're really, really lightweight. They fit easily up to a 7mm needle. And what I have done on the website is there are a few sets. So this is one of the sets that you can see with the kind of blue and pink. And then I've also got some rainbow sets. These won't come up in order, but I've got some rainbow sets which have got 6 stitch markers with the colours of the rainbow. I've got a lovely kind of autumnal set. Oops, let's see if I can line these up properly. I've got a lovely kind of autumnal set here, which have got lovely kind of autumn colours. Come on, camera. There we go. I've got an ice blue set, which is similar to the pink one, but then you've got kind of white and clear. And then what I've also done is I've got a load that are just made up in a mix of random colours. I don't know that that's going to be able to show you very well. In a kind of a mix of random colours. So there's a mix of different wire colours. So we've got kind of some bright pink ones, and the wires are different colours as well. You can see that's got a pink wire. I've got kind of some tealy ones. You've got teal wire, and then that's got a gorgeous kind of tealy beads on. So basically with these ones, what I'm doing is you can choose to get kind of a random selection, which lets you have kind of 5 or 10 random stitch markers. And what I will do is I will try and make them in a mix of colours, basically. So you'll get kind of 5 different coloured stitch markers. They'll just be fun and colourful. Yeah. So that is my plan. The major plan is that these will be really good for shows. It'll be nice to have kind of a little display of stitch markers for shows and stuff like that, so that people can get what else they want for a project. And then the final thing, advent calendars. Oh, that's upside down. Advent calendars. So all of the pre-ordered advent calendars have now shipped. All of the non-pre-ordered ones have now been made up into boxes. So I have got 5, I believe, 5 ready to ship advent calendars currently listed on the website, and then that will pretty much be it. I have got 3 spares that I am reserving just in case any don't arrive in time, or in case I suddenly get a message in the middle of December to say, oh, I haven't got a day 6. or something like that, because if it just, just in case, basically for emergencies. And if they're not needed, then come January, when the pattern has been released in full, what I will do is I will list those ones as kind of sets, but obviously you'll be able to see the pattern as well. But for the meantime, if you haven't purchased an advent calendar yet and you have regretted it and you are still desperately trying to get hold of one, I do have 5 ready to ship advent calendars in the shop. And that is everything, I think. There's lots of other things in the shop. I have plans going forward as well. Yeah, I'm hoping that I've been organised enough that December won't be too chaotic with everything that I need to put in the shop and things like that. But that is everything, I think. That is the entire podcast. And yeah, I will definitely see you for Vlogmas at the beginning of December. But if I don't see you in a proper podcast until the new year, then it seems really early to say it, but I hope you have a lovely Christmas and a lovely new year. And I will see you in 2020. But I'm hopefully I will find time during December to sit down and record another podcast. But please come along and watch Vlogmas videos. I am going to try and put one of those fancy things that pops up on the screen that kind of links you to other videos that you're talking about. I have no idea how to do it on YouTube, but I know that other people have done it. Maybe I can't do it unless I've got more subscribers, I don't know. But I will have a go and I will try and put a link up here somewhere to Vlogmas 2018 and maybe even Vlogmas 2017 if I can do that. Maybe, we'll see. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the podcast, then please like it and subscribe it down below somewhere. Oh, I failed to mention, as always, show notes. Show notes for the episode will be available definitely in the Ravelry group. And assuming that I don't have any technical issues this week, then hopefully they will also be available on my website. Last week, I got it all ready to go, got it all set up, and then it decided to delete itself. And I'd spent so long doing it that in the end, I was just like, you know what? It's tough. There's just going to have to be no show notes on my website this episode because I couldn't face writing it all back out again and doing all the links again and everything that goes with that. Anyway, I will see you all again soon. Yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.